Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, this is my second gen Dodge with a built P-pump engine, and it has a homemade cowl hood and 24-inch Alcoas. Now, if you've been watching, you'd notice that the bed is gone, and that's because I found some problems. Problem. So today we're going to be picking up the solution. Alright, so we got it. This is the solution to all of our problems. Yesterday, I spent a couple hours and I drove all the way down to Indiana and back, and I picked this thing up. It is a beautiful 96 3500, same as my other one. It is two-wheel drive, so we're going to four-wheel drive swap it. But here's the thing about this one. It is perfectly rust-free. I didn't even know they made second gens this clean anymore. Obviously, it was an old work truck and it has seen better days. So we're going to breathe some life back into it, combined with the good of this truck, and we should come up with something pretty cool. So this is going to be a very time-consuming process, but it is going to be fairly straightforward. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to take this cab, make it pretty. Take the frame, make it pretty. And then we're going to take the 12 valve from the other truck with the trans and transfer case and throw it in there. And in turn, we should have a fairly pretty, fairly good running truck. So first things first, we got to get this thing down to a bare frame and make it so clean you could eat off of it. Now while I'm disconnecting everything, get this cab out of here, I took off a fender liner just so I can show you guys how truly clean this thing is. Now this is the first rust-free truck I have ever purchased, so this may not be exciting to all of you, but I removed every single one of these cab mount bolts with a 3/8 impact. If you've ever worked on a rust belt truck, you know that there's no way in hell that would ever happen on any truck that's over 5 years old. But we are ready to pull this cab off, got the brake booster disconnected, all the steering, got most of the wiring harness taken out, a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff there, and parking brake and a whole bunch of cables, all sorts of different stuff. But this cab should be ready to come right off with the front clipped all in one. As you can see, we got the cart built, just got it set on the cab mounts, bolts right up. Now we can put this cab wherever we need it to be, and we can roll this frame back and start working on that first. All right, so we've been working on the frame. We got it all stripped down, the exhaust is out, all the fuel lines, brake lines, fuel tank, and we're ready to start taking off all this gunk and grease because it is completely full of it. Well, after about an hour and a half of scraping, it still looks like I've done nothing, but the floor says otherwise. And now after a couple more hours, all the scraping is finished. Now that all the scraping's done, it's looking a lot nicer. I'm going to use some degreaser, put some degreaser on there, let it set, and then hit it with a pressure washer and see if that takes the rest of the gunk off. I also removed all these, cleaned up the frame a little bit, got rid of that spare tire mount. I'm gonna put a different brace in there. Obviously, that one is not in great shape. And then we have to work on getting this ugly hitch off here that is welded on in way too many places. All right, so we got the hitch off and we started degreasing it. I'm gonna let the degreaser marinate and then we're gonna hit it again with the pressure washer. Here's the frame after it's all done. It's looking nice and pretty, but now it's gonna sit for a while. Now I'm sure you're wondering why I decided to go and start working on the cab before finishing the frame. Well, the reason being, I don't want to finish the frame and then leave it to sit outside for too long and then make it look like I didn't even refinish the frame. So instead, we're going to start working on the cab so that once both of them are like right there and ready to go, then I can do everything kind of in the same timeline without letting things sit outside for too long for no reason. So let's start on what all needs to be done on the cab. We've got a couple dents in the fenders. Got these fun little dents on the cab. And then this door is pretty much clapped. And I lied, this thing's not quite rust-free. Because if you look right in there, there was a water bottle that was left opened upside down. That left the carpet damp and caused that rust hole right there. But comparatively to what was on the square body, that's nothing. I'm not worried about that. But we are now ready to start disassembling this. As you can see, a lot has been removed. The front clip has been disassembled, the doors are off, most of the interior is taken care of. But after removing the rubber floor mat, you can see that our problem spot is actually quite a bit larger than we thought it was. And it got the driver's side too. Obviously that is not ideal, and there's going to be a lot more work that's added because of it. Basically, when I started taking apart the interior, I found broken glass. Both windshields, the windshield and the back glass, are both aftermarket. So those were broken at one point. Who knows how long it sat in the rain, let that floor get wet, and then stayed wet. It was all still damp when I took it apart, sadly. So that is what is causing all of our issues on the floor here. Now we have to remove the rest of this stuff, get this thing completely stripped so that it's ready for body work, along with all these pieces and parts as well. As you can see, the cab is now completely stripped. We got rid of some of the sound deadening to help us when we replace the floors of this thing. Got this door stripped, and the fenders are also completely stripped. Now this thing's almost ready for body work. There's only a couple more things left to do. So I reached out and talked to my local sandblasting and powder coating guy. So he is going to sandblast this entire cab. He's going to do all the seams of the doors and then also the seams on the fenders, which is in turn going to just save me incredible amounts of time on sanding. I'm not going to have to do the sanding, which will be super nice. And the sandblasting should also show us where all the rust is so that I don't cut these too small and end up screwing myself. Now, speaking of the holes in the floor, I came up with a whole bunch of ideas on why the floor was rotted, why it was all still damp. Come to find out, this truck was completely submerged for 2 weeks in a flood. So that mostly explains the nastiness that is this truck. Do I think the rust that's on here is just from that? No, probably not, but it was probably a major cause for it. But I thought that was kind of crazy, and even crazier that he found me and reached out. But that is besides the point. We got a couple more things done on this. I gave it a nice little wash and then also got all the gunk and grease out of this cowl here. I also went ahead and did some rough body work just to get this dent mostly out. And I also cleaned up and stripped all these body panels as well. So while that stuff is away, we can finish up on this frame here. Because as we saw before, it was pretty smashed. Now, a previous owner did not measure frame width, and they just welded the C-channel in there when it got smashed. So I got to cut this thing and then spread this frame back open and then weld in a new brace for the leaf springs, and then also coming forward to meet up with the new shock. Because as you can probably tell, that is not going to work. As you can see, we got the frame spread. I cut that C-channel, and now we're going to use this pipe to make a new brace right there. But I've got it all lined up, and we are ready to start making the bracing. There we go. We got the bracing welded in, made a new shock mount for it. Still got some cleaning up to do around here, and then also to get rid of this stuff. But I have made the executive decision to put a bed on this thing. And being as it's a cab and chassis truck, it does not have bed mounts. Now, as much as I'd love to reuse these ones, they are not in good shape, and they just look horrible to try and take off. So in usual fashion, I'm going to build my own and make my life harder. I've got a couple pieces traced here. We're just going to mock up one and then use that to make the rest of them. Here's about what they're going to look like. I think that'll look pretty nice. So now I need to trace out a whole bunch more of them and then make 4 of these. Alright, so here's all 4 of them. We got them all welded together. Then we used a torch and cut those pieces of C-channel out of there. So now I just have to grind all that ugly stuff off, and this back half should be ready to go. Now I have to do a whole bunch of measurements, figure out where these need to sit, and then we can weld these onto the frame. Well, it's been a couple more days. And at one point I did have all 4 cab mounts on there. Now, as you can see, I only have 2. Now the reasoning behind that is this is a cab and chassis truck, and that means it is 4 inches longer than a normal stock truck that has a dually bed. And because I'm difficult, I wanted a dually bed on this thing, and that's not going to work. If the frame is 4 inches too long, I'm going to have a massive gap between the cab and the bed. So next video, that will be what it is. We are going to be shortening this frame. Then after that, we'll be getting rid of all of the body panels, be sending those off to get sandblasted. We'll be sending this to get sandblasted and powdered. And then we'll be doing all the body work that needs to be done to it, and paint, primer, all that fun stuff. Now, as I said before, I am doing daily updates on Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. So if you want to catch up to where we're at now, watch those. But otherwise, the YouTube videos, the full-length YouTube videos are obviously going to be a bit behind because I have to edit them and make them, you know, multiple days long. But yeah, once all this modification is done, it is going to start coming together a lot faster. It's going to start looking prettier, because as of now, it still looks like it did before. But yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and God bless.